chosen ones. I'm going to title this video called Organizational Changes. One thing I wish somebody would have told me about years ago is called companies. They'll undergo something called an organizational change. This is when a company, they'll start bringing to light lots of problems they feel that the company is having. And in the process of doing so, their goal is to get rid of everybody and to start over. Now, sometimes some of these perceived issues may be trivial. Sometimes they may even be make believe. But the goal is to destabilize everybody in the organization to get them to basically fire themselves or constructive termination. Now, if you look online, everybody that are part of these quote unquote expert HR personnel, they'll tell you to just stay, and they'll make an argument that constructive termination is highly illegal. But to prove it is really difficult, especially if you have managers that their career they've specialized in getting hundreds of people to quit. They've had access to different type of training or tactics that may be unfamiliar to you. So this is one of the things that I observed as working as a supervisor in different industries. Suppose if you are a high performing person, your metrics are always there, you show up to work on time, and you always get the job done. When you have an organization, their goal is to basically get rid of everybody. They see you as a threat. And so you'll have it where the supervisors will meet with HR and they'll come up with strategies on getting you to quit. Does it suck? Yes, but it happens all the time. So you have to be able to watch the trends. A lot of times, if you look at an agency and they bring in more supervisors, that's also often an indicator that they're about to get rid of, quote unquote, get as many people as they can to quit. So, what I want to say something sobering here. When a company decides to thin out the herd or push out specific groups, the decision has already made at the highest levels, maybe from the owner or maybe from a newer company that's coming in. The decision has already been made. At that point, it doesn't matter how resilient you are or how you perform individually. It doesn't matter how exceptional you are. That's no longer a deciding factor. So here's something I want to say to about chosen ones and the reality that your motivation will be weaponized against you. Now, here's an illusion of meritocracy. We always think it's about performance, numbers, and metrics. Some companies, it really doesn't matter about metrics. They want to get you out of there. And it's like the way that you perform is not always a shield. Sometimes when a company's goal is to get you to exit, your productivity is simply getting the work done for free before they let you go. It won't save you. Then they'll say, well, step your game up. This is what I would call an overachiever trap. The harder you work, the more you signal that the organization can still function without you or that you are resilient enough to handle more pressure. This makes you a more attractive candidate to squeeze you out before you quit. you'll have it where if they detect that, okay, this person is strong, they'll begin moving the goalposts and they'll start setting these goals for you that are unreachable. If you hit 100%, they'll demand 120. If you hit 120, they'll move the goalpost to a new category, to a point that it's impossible to satisfy. Where one of the things you'll notice is that suppose you're working in an office or on a floor someplace, you have a couple supervisors keep walking past you to try to create a presence to make you feel uncomfortable. Or they'll keep stopping you in the middle of processes to like distract you. And the sad reality of it is the longer that you stay in an environment where your own work is being weaponized against you, it'll interfere with your process, it'll interfere with your thinking, and over time you'll experience a type of cognitive decline. Now, your purpose. Suppose if you have passion and integrity and you have a desire to do a good job, when the goal is to push you out, they know that you care about your work. So they use that emotional investment to keep you working long hours while they plan your departure. They'll end up trying to destabilize your motivation and the very tools that are your strong points. They weaponize them against you. So maybe you'll have this thing where they'll create this false sense of urgency around you while you're trying to focus to get you out of the state of flow, to get you in a state where you stuck in metacognition, where you stop to thinking about your work, where before you could seamlessly go through one process to the next. The things that'll get attacked is your micro routine. Keep changing your break times around, keep changing you from project to project and things like that to keep you unstable. Um, so you'll have this thing where they'll create these high stakes tasks where they intentionally drive you to the point of exhaustion so that you feel so drained that you make an innocuous mistake that's cause for termination to simply to get you to reach a breaking point and walk away. You know, you have to the chosen one, I would say, for your survival guide. You have to have situational awareness on the circumstances that you find yourself in. One thing I would say is if you got a new supervisor, you need to look on their LinkedIn profile. People say this is a form of stalking, but what I've observed is any job I've had, if you're a new supervisor coming in, the supervisors often meet to figure out how they would get you to quit. It's like a self-destruct profile. You'll have where you have supervisors meeting with HR about you, like what are your strong points, what you could be susceptible to get you to quit. And one of the things that happens is that um, they'll go online to see what you're posting about, and more bizarre cases, I've seen them meeting with the IT department, to figure out what your digital hygiene and so forth to like use that against you in colorable ways. You know, when you're looking at another supervisors, especially if they're new, if you want to know if they're professional saboteurs, one thing you want to take a look at if they specify that they're process engineers or if they specialize in team building or ways to get you to quit. One of the things you have to do is read the writing on the wall, where sometimes it's not enough to look at your own performance metrics, but you got to start looking at the management patterns. If the leaders are avoiding eye contacts, if meeting agendas have shifted from growth to compliance, you get limited access, or if you notice that your what they're asking you for, they're asking you to change, or if you get this vague and ambiguous type of feedback. The sad part about it is the chosen one, right? This is what you identify with. You oftentimes don't see it coming. And one thing I can say is if you deal with the manager, every new manager you meet, you don't know what their instructions were. And in many times, I've seen some companies, they'll specifically hire a specific person, and their job is to get as many people to quit as possible. And many of them have done this hundreds of times um, through workers, through their career. They do it so much that they're professional saboteurs at getting you to quit or to like deflate you. And they've done it so many times they don't even remember the names of all of the people that they've done it to. But the trail of victims left behind, they remember, said supervisors. You have to be able to read the environment. This is why I'm saying all the times that enduring and practicing mindfulness in situations where if you see the writing on the wall where they're not going to keep you, that it doesn't matter how mindful you are, how resilient you are, certain situations you got to move away from when you see it. You know, um, this is here's the other thing that is a type of quiet exit strategy. Like, when they're busy weaponizing your motivation, you should be securing your own path to use your energy to update your portfolio, your resume. You know, sometimes you have to get an escape plan, not try to impress a manager who's already checked your name off the list. And the thing is, I want to share with you how saboteurs they thrive in the dark. They begin gaslighting you into thinking you are the problem. Recognize that if you are a high performer and suddenly everything is a problem or wrong, the issue is not your output, it's the environment intent. And you have to protect your energy. If you're an overachiever, your tendency is to like try harder when things get tough. Sometimes you have to conserve your energy for the next move. Do what's required to stay professional. I wanted to share with you some of the things that I've observed, some of the agitation tactics that I was taught, to do to a high performing person to get them to quit. And it's always gaslighting. So one thing I've observed is I was a new supervisor, and like clockwork, they gave us these smart watches, right? And it's real nasty. It's real nasty. Like they'll have us schedule a one-on-one with the worker, and you ask them questions to get them engaged in a meeting. And the goal was to create dissonance in them to destabilize them. So with the smartwatch, they would have you get in a meeting with the worker. As soon as they'll ask you a random some question about something where you explaining yourself, and as soon as you get to thinking, they'll push a button on their smartwatch so that the light blinks in the middle of you talking. And what this does is conditioning the mind to not have a sense of focus. So some of the things they'll do over time is to create distractions or to create a distance between your mind and your body. One thing, a little trick that they would have us do right before a meeting, you would have somebody tap on the clipboard 3 times. And each time this happened during the meeting or before a meeting, it gets your body in a state of suggestibility, a hyper awareness. And it's really nasty because if you have these things targeted around your performance, it messes up your metacognition to a point that right before the meeting, automatically your body will get into this trance and it's set up to distract you. You'll have it where you may have a supervisor or something. They may go on your social media profile and write. In the middle of a meeting, they'll begin calling out like the names of your family members or something you said online, or even something that's unique to your LinkedIn profile. It's really nasty. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful to anybody who may see it. You got to be able to read the room, and sometimes you haven't done anything wrong, and you got to protect. You got to protect your gifts. Thank you for watching.